What would you do if you landed at an American airport with a valid visa, all your documents in order, and still got pulled into a back room and told you might be getting sent home tonight? This nightmare is becoming reality for Indian tech workers right now, and if you're on an H-1B visa, what I'm about to tell you could save your entire American dream. Imagine this. You land at San Francisco Airport after visiting your family in India. You have your H-1B visa. You have your approval notice. Everything looks perfect. But when you reach the immigration counter, the officer takes your passport, walks to the back room, and 20 minutes later, you are sitting in secondary inspection, being told your visa might be canceled. This is happening right now to Indian tech workers. And if you're on H-1B or planning to apply, you need to hear this before you book your next flight. Here is what nobody is telling you. Silicon Valley is changing fast. Big tech companies that used to hire thousands of H-1B workers every year are now cutting jobs, shutting down entire departments, and some are even moving operations out of the United States. And when that happens, immigration officers at the airport start asking harder questions. They are not just checking if your visa is valid anymore. They want to know if your job still exists. They want proof that you are actually going back to work. And if something does not add up, they can send you back on the next flight, even if your visa stamp is brand new. This is not a rumor. This is not fear. This is policy. And the worst part, most people do not find out until it is too late. They think because they have a valid visa, they are safe. But here is the truth. A visa is just permission to travel to the United States. It is not a guarantee that you will be allowed in. That decision happens at the port of entry. And right now, officers are being extra careful with H-1B holders, especially those coming from India. So why is this happening now? Let me break it down for you. Over the past year, we have seen massive layoffs in tech. Google, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft. These companies let go of thousands of workers, and many of them were on H-1B visas. When someone on H-1B loses their job, they have 60 days to find a new employer or leave the country. But here is the problem. Not everyone follows that rule. Some people stay hoping they will find something. Some people do not even realize their status expired. And now immigration enforcement is tightening up. On top of that, there has been a major shift in how companies hire. They are using more contractors. They are outsourcing work. They are opening offices in Canada and Mexico instead of sponsoring visas. So even if you have a job, immigration officers want to make sure it is a real job, not just a paper position to keep your visa active. They have seen cases where people were technically employed, but doing no actual work because the project got canceled or the team was dissolved. And if they suspect that is your situation, you could be denied entry. Now let me tell you what is happening at the airports. Officers are asking detailed questions. What project are you working on? Who is your manager? When did you last speak to your employer? Do you have an office to go back to, or are you working remotely? Can you show me your recent pay stubs? And if your answers are vague, or if you cannot provide documents, that is a red flag. They might pull you into secondary inspection, call your employer to verify, and if things do not match up, they can revoke your visa on the spot and put you on a flight home. I know this sounds scary, but I am not saying this to panic you. I am saying this so you can protect yourself. Because the people getting sent back are not criminals. They are not doing anything wrong on purpose. They just did not know what to carry, what to say, or how to prepare. And that is what we are going to fix right now. So what does this actually mean for you? If you are currently working on H-1B, here's what you need to understand. Your visa validity and your job status are two different things. You could have a visa valid until 2027, but if your job ended last month and you did not transfer your H-1B to a new employer, technically you are out of status. And if you travel internationally and try to come back, that is when you will get caught. Immigration officers have access to systems that show your employment history, your labor condition application, and whether your employer is still active. They can see things you might not even be aware of. Let me give you a real example. A software engineer working for a major tech company went to India for a wedding. His visa was valid. His company was still operating. But while he was gone, his entire team got laid off. He did not know because he was on vacation. When he came back to the airport, the officer asked him which team he works for. He gave the name. The officer checked the system, saw that team no longer existed, and denied him entry. He had to go back to India, find a new employer willing to sponsor him, and go through the whole visa process again, all because of bad timing and lack of preparation. Now, here is what social media is getting wrong. A lot of people are saying that H-1B is being cancelled, or that all Indian workers are being targeted. That is not true. H-1B is still a valid visa category. Thousands of people are entering the United States every day without any issues. The problem is not the visa itself. The problem is people traveling without understanding their current immigration status or without carrying the right documents. Some people think just because they have a visa stamp, they are good to go. But that visa stamp is based on the petition your employer filed. If that petition is no longer valid because you changed jobs, got laid off, or your company shut down, your visa stamp does not mean anything anymore. Another confusion is about the 60-day grace period. Yes, if you lose your H-1B job, you get 60 days to find new employment or leave the country. But that grace period does not apply if you travel outside the United States. Once you leave, you are starting fresh. When you come back, you need to prove that you have a valid job waiting for you. You cannot use the grace period as a reason to re-enter. Immigration officers do not care that you still have 30 days left. If you do not have an active employer, you are not getting in. Also, people are confusing H-1B transfer with automatic approval. If you switch employers, your new employer has to file a new H-1B petition. Until that petition is approved, you are still tied to your old employer in the eyes of immigration. So if you quit your job, your new employer files the transfer, and you travel before it is approved, you could have problems at the border. The officer might say, your old job is over, and your new job is not confirmed yet. So what status are you entering on? It is a gray area, and gray areas are risky when you are standing in front of an immigration officer. Here is the reality check. The United States immigration system does not give second chances easily. If you get denied entry, that goes on your record. It can affect future visa applications. It can create problems if you ever apply for a green card, and in some cases, it can lead to a ban from entering the country for years. So this is not something to take lightly or figure out as you go. You need to be prepared before you travel. Now let me give you the action plan. If you are on H-1B and planning to travel internationally, do these things before you book your ticket. First, confirm with your employer that your job is still active. I know that sounds obvious, but with all the layoffs and restructuring happening, you need written confirmation. Ask your HR department for a letter stating that you are currently employed, what your job title is, what your salary is, and that you are expected to return to work after your trip. This letter should be on company letterhead and signed by someone in authority. Second, carry your approval notice. This is the I-797 form that USCIS sent when your H-1B was approved. Do not just carry a copy. Carry the original if possible. This document shows that your petition is valid and gives the officer all the details about your employment. Third, bring recent pay stubs, at least 2 to 3 months of pay stubs showing that you are actively being paid. This proves that you are not just on paper, you are actually working and receiving salary. Fourth, have your employer contact information ready. Know your manager's name, phone number, and email. Know your company address. If the officer wants to verify anything, you should be able to provide accurate information immediately. Do not fumble or guess. That creates doubt. Fifth, if you recently changed jobs, carry both your old and new approval notices. Carry the H-1B transfer receipt notice if the new petition is still pending. Carry an offer letter from your new employer. Make it crystal clear what your current status is. Do not leave room for confusion. And sixth, be honest. If the officer asks you a question and you do not know the answer, say you do not know. Do not make something up. Do not exaggerate. Do not try to outsmart the officer. They deal with hundreds of travelers every day. They can tell when someone is not being straight with them. If you are honest and you have your documents ready, you will be fine. But if you lie or avoid questions, that is when things go bad fast. Now, what if you are planning to apply for H-1B in the future? Should you be worried? Here is what you need to know. H-1B is still being issued. The lottery is still happening, but companies are being more selective about who they sponsor. They want people who bring unique skills, who are hard to replace, who justify the cost and effort of the visa process. So, if you are planning to apply, make sure you are working with a solid employer, someone with a good track record of H-1B approvals. Make sure your job role qualifies as a specialty occupation, and be ready for more scrutiny than in previous years. Also, if you are already in the United States on a different status like F1 OPT and you are waiting for your H-1B to start, do not travel unless absolutely necessary. Every time you leave and come back, you are taking a risk. Officers are watching for people who might be trying to game the system. If they think you are spending too much time outside the country, or if your story does not add up, they can deny you entry even on a valid visa. One more thing. If you do get sent back or denied entry, do not panic. It is not the end of the world, but you need to act fast. Contact an immigration attorney immediately. Find out exactly why you were denied. Get the paperwork and figure out your next steps. Sometimes it is fixable, sometimes you need to reapply. But do not ignore it and hope it goes away. Immigration issues do not disappear on their own. They only get worse if you do not deal with them. My name is Fernando from US Policy Brief, and my job is to keep your American dreams safe. I see too many good people lose their visas, their jobs, their future just because they did not have the right information at the right time. That is why I make these videos. Not to scare you, but to prepare you because the system is complicated. The rules keep changing, and one mistake can cost you years. If this video helped you, do me a favor. Subscribe to US Policy Brief. Hit that notification bell because I post updates every time something changes in immigration policy. Whether it is H-1B, green card, visa interviews, or new executive orders, you will hear it here first. And share this video with anyone you know who is on H-1B or planning to apply. They need to see this before they travel. Stay safe, stay informed, and remember your visa is only as strong as your preparation. I'll see you in the next one.